Properties of triangles. The measures of the interior angles of a triangle sum to 180 degrees, which means that if you add all three angles, you get 180 degrees. And if the triangle is isosceles, as this one is, then your base angles are congruent. So you have the vertex angle and then the base angles. Right, segments joining the midpoint, or a segment joining the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, like this one, is parallel to the third side and half the length. So this segment right here, which is called a mid-segment, is parallel to this side of the triangle, and this measurement is half of this measurement. This, I don't know if you can read it, but it's 16.1, and that's 32.2 units. A median of a triangle is a segment that goes from the vertex of a triangle to the midpoint of the opposite side. So you can draw all three of those, and when you do, the points will always meet, or the segments will always meet at a point called the centroid. And then the centroid, it's dividing each median so that the segment from the centroid to the vertex is twice as long as it is from the centroid to the midpoint of the opposite side. So this segment from the centroid to the vertex is twice as long as it is from this segment of this segment right here, from the centroid to the midpoint. And again, this one twice as long as this one. Alright, let's look at some examples. Triangle ABC's angle measures are unknown, but we do know that the measure of angle A can be represented by the expression 3x plus 2. The measure of angle B can be represented by the expression 4x minus 5, and the measure of angle C can be represented by the expression 2x plus 3. Find the measure of each angle. Alright, well, we have expressions for all three angles, and we know that the sum of those three angles have to equal 180. So let's set up an equation where we're adding angle A plus angle B plus angle C, and we'll set that equal to 180. Now we just have to solve it. So we'll combine like terms. So 3x plus 4x plus 2x makes 9x. And then 2 minus 5 plus 3 makes 0. So I'll just bring down my equals 180, divide both sides by 9, and find that x equals 20. But we're not quite done yet because we want to find the measure of each angle. So what we'll need to do is plug x into each expression. So for the measure of angle A, that was equaling 3x plus 2. So that means we'll need to do 3 times 20 plus 2, and that'll give us 62. The measure of angle B was 4x minus 5, so we'll plug in the 20. So 4 times 20 minus 5 will give us 75. And then the measure of angle C was 2x plus 3. So 2 times 20 plus 3 is 43. So now we have our answers, but we do want to check to make sure that they're correct. So let's go ahead and add them together just to make sure that we get 180. So this will double check, make sure we didn't make any errors. So 2 plus 5 plus 3 is 10. And then 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 7 is 14 plus 4. That makes 180. So we knew we got it right. Number 2. Triangle DEF is an isosceles triangle where angles E and F are the base angles. The measure of angle E can be represented by the expression 2x plus 18, and the measure of angle F can be represented by the expression 5x minus 6. What is the measure of each angle in the triangle? Well, we know the two expressions for the base angles, and we know that base angles have to be congruent to each other. So they have to be equal in measure. So that means that we can set the expressions that we have equal to each other. And now we just have to solve the equation. So I'll start by subtracting 2x on both sides of my equation. And we have 18 equals 3x minus 6. Then I'll add the 6 over, giving me 24 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. We have that x equals 8. Alright, but it wants to know the measure of each angle in the triangle. Okay, so if x is 8, then we just need to plug x in to find the measures of our base angles. So we could pick either equation, or we could pick both to make sure that we did it right. So 2 times 8 plus 18. Well, 2 times 8 is 16, and 16 plus 18 is 34. So the measure of angle E is 34 degrees. Now we could check also that 5 times 8 is 40, minus 6 is 34. So that was just a quick check. So the measure of angle F, also 34 degrees. But if we want to know the measure for angle D, we have to figure out, well, what's left if they all add up to 180? Well, what's left if we subtract angle E and angle F out? So if we take 180 and then we subtract our 34 twice, so really we're subtracting 68 because we have two angles that are 34, add them together, 68. So 180 minus 68 is 112. So the measure of angle D is 112 degrees. Alright, so number 3, FD is a mid-segment of triangle ABC. Find the perimeter of triangle ABC given the following measurements. So let's go ahead and label what we have on our triangle. We know that AD is 15.5. That's AD. And FD, which is our mid-segment, is 13.2. And then FC, which is down here, is 15.8. Alright, so to find the perimeter, let's say we know that since this is a mid-segment, that AF is going to be the same length as FC. So this right here is also 15.8. And then this right here is also 15.5. And then this base is going to be twice as long as the mid-segment. So that will be 26.4. So now we just have to add everything up. So we have two 15.5s, two 15.8s, and a 26.4. So when you add up all those numbers, you get 89. So 89 units, that's our perimeter. Number 4, Q, R, and S are midpoints of the side lengths of triangle X, Y, and Z. If the length of QC is 5x plus 1 and QZ equals 33, find the length of segment CZ. Alright, well QC is right here, and that's our 5x plus 1. And then QZ all the way across is 33. So since these are medians of the triangle, each one's a median, so this is a median. This is the centroid, since that's where all the medians are intersecting. So we know that this whole segment right here, this little part is a third of it. So we know that because this segment is half the length of this segment. So if we were to divide it equally, so we'll divide that part in half, then we're left with 3 equal pieces. So 5x plus 1 is a third of the whole section. So that means if we multiply 5x plus 1 by 3, then we would get 33. So now we have our equation. So we just had to recognize that the segment from the midpoint to the centroid is a third of the entire segment. Alright, so now we just solve our equation. So I was going to start by dividing both sides by 3. I could have distributed, but I'm going to go this way, because 33 divided by 3 is 11. Then we just subtract 1. We get 10. Divide by 5, get 2. So we have that x equals 2. But that isn't what our final answer is asking for. It wants the length of the segment CZ, so that's from here to here. Okay, well let's find out what QC is, and then we can just subtract that from 33. So if I plug the 2 back in, I know that 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So from Q to C, that equals 11. So that means from C to Z, that has to equal 33 minus 11, which would be 22. And that is the final answer. So 22 units long. Alright, now it's time to pause the video and complete the independent practice. Once you're done with the independent practice, press play to check your answers. Here are the answers to the independent practice. Number 5, measure of angle A, 76 degrees, measure of angle B is 67 degrees, and the measure of angle C is 37 degrees. For number 2, measure of angle E and F are both 12 degrees, and the measure of angle D is 156 degrees. For number 7, is 26 units. And then for number 8, set up the equation by saying that 4x plus 10 is twice as big as 3x plus 2, so I know I had to do 4x plus 10 equals 2 times 3x plus 2 to make them equal. Found that x was 3 and then plugged it back into my x's and got 33 units.